Hello friends, you're the Lonesome Gamer and I'm playing 1889. Now I've done an intro video about that. If you're more experienced, you probably have skipped that. And now I'm simply going to start the private auction. Just want to go quickly over the private companies. So we got the Takamatsu electric track. Only the owner of this private company can lay a tile in Takamatsu. It's a $20 company. Takamatsu is here and it is in a pretty profitable area. The most expensive city is Kotohira, but that's a little tricky. You gotta upgrade this. So but yeah, Takamatsu is in a good area, and it's kind of nice to be allowed to upgrade this one. Of course, when the company closes, then everybody can upgrade this city. Then we got the Eime Railroad. When this company is sold to a corporation, the selling player may immediately place a green tile on Ozu, in addition to any tile which it may lay during the same operating round. This does not close the company. So this is a $40 company, pays a revenue of 10. Ozu is here, and I'm pretty sure this tile is actually blocked. Nobody else can lay a token there, but I'm not a tile there. I'm not absolutely sure though. Got to check that. So yeah, it's kind of cool. It's also a little more valuable area, at least at the start of the game. You got the 40 city here. So if you can make a quick connection here along the coast, that's a nice little start. Mitsubishi Ferry. The player owner may place the port tile on a coastal town without a tile on it already outside of the operating rounds of company controlled by another player. The player need not control a company or have connectivity to the place tile from one of their companies. This does not close the company. $30. We got this tile here, and yeah, that's a port tile. We got these port towns here and another one down here. And yeah, you can simply place this thing, and it's worth 30. So that is also a pretty good start. Kind of a traditional thing is to place it here, by the way, and then play Kochi, start the company here. This is already 30, this is 30, and you can connect down here. Can make a lot of money there early in the game. Sumitomo Beshi Mine Railroad, $50. The owning corporation may ignore building cost for mountain hexes which do not also contain rivers. This does not close the company. So that's pretty cool. That's basically pretty much everything except this area here. So that's really good. The problem is it probably won't work for long. Maybe you get, I mean, usually you're not too interested in building there anyway. You might consider upgrading cities instead. So you probably only use this once, maybe twice, but hey, it's not bad. Dogo Railway. The owning player may exchange this private company for a 10% share of the Iyo Railway from the initial offering. The $60 company. And then the South Iyo Railway, $80, no special ability. So we're playing a 3-player game. So therefore, this company here is not included. That was removed. I'm gonna do the auction off camera. Every player starts with 420 bucks, and I'll be back after the auction. Okay, so we're at the end of the auction. Priority is now down here with player 3. So the first player, the most companies actually went pretty cheap. This guy has the AME. That was a little more expensive. I think he had to spend 60 for that. But the South EO went for 90. So that's a really good deal. This guy here has 3 companies. The cheapest one for 20, Mitsubishi for 30, and he actually got that also for face value, so that was a good deal. And then this one, he also managed to get that for 55, so he was the only bidder on that. So yeah, it was a little bit weird, but he made a very good deal. He just spent 105 bucks for these 3 companies, which he can basically sell for 200. So that's a good deal. And this guy here, he ended up with a Dogo Railway, and I think he spent, I'm not sure, maybe 70 on that one. So yeah, I think he can be extremely happy, but the others didn't really manage to stop him here. He's also kind of fine, you know. He got 2, the high value one, 120. He is not too happy, I guess, but okay. He is the only one, though, who has, I think at least, so I'm not sure. Well, let me see. You need 325 bucks to start a company. I think so, yeah. So that means we have, this guy cannot start in the first turn. He obviously also not. So he is actually the only one who can start a company in the first turn. He can start one in the second turn. And here, I don't know, that might take a while. Yeah, he has spent a little bit more than that. So we'll see. So this guy down here, the owner of the Dogo Railway, he's got the priority deal. He could exchange this private for a 10% share of the EO Railway. He doesn't want that because buying it in for 120 might be a better choice. Gives him more cash. And right now it pays a solid revenue of 15, which is probably also more than the EO will do in the first operating rounds. So he is actually the only one who has enough cash to start a company. Now, which one do I want to pick? Now, I'm not going to pick the Takamatsu because that is kind of blocked by this Takamatsu electric track. This one here is also problematic because this is kind of blocked by the Eime Railroad, which kind of controls this space here. I can do one of the others. I think I want to start here. This is the Tosai electric rail, and that's kind of a classic start. You can run 3 trains here for quite a bit of money. And because he had 3 2 trains, and because he's the only one who actually can start a company right now, there's a good chance that these 3 2 trains can run for maybe 2 or 3 ORs, which is really a lot. Maybe only for 2 ORs, but it's still not bad. It's a pretty good starting point, I think. Also, there are only 3 players, so we only see 3 companies. So it will maybe take a while until we get into the 4s. So I think, yeah, the 2 trains are pretty valuable in this specific scenario for him. So he starts the Tosa electric rail. He buys the presidency. He has to par it low if he wants to make sure that he can start it on its own. So he starts at 65, and well, let's place that here, and the other token we can place here, and then he spends $130 to get the presidency. Okay, so now the next player, and yeah, he does not have the cash to start a company, so he simply doesn't do anything. Investing in this one, I mean, he could do it. It doesn't hurt to do it. This company will make money, and he will not be able to start a company in the next turn either, I assume. Or maybe he is. He makes $30. Let's think about that. He makes $30 per turn. That's the income of the private railroads. Right now he's sitting on 270. So that's not enough. He needs 325. So he cannot start a company next turn. So he might as well buy a share of the Tulsa Electric as well for 65. And if he does it now, he might be in a better position for priority. And there is no real reason to wait until this guy is done. So yeah, I'm going to do that. 65, and that gives him also a share. He is in a very similar position. He has an income of 25, and right now he's sitting on 315. So he is, after the next OR, he will be $10 short. He also not going to have the option to start a company, so he's going to buy a share of the Tulsa as well for 65. And now already 50% have been purchased, which means the company floats. The owner receives the sheet, the president. He gets $650 into the company, and he also receives the 3 tokens of the company. There we go. And do we buy a second share? This is interesting. I think I will buy a second share, because it's actually hard to really exploit this company. He cannot buy the presidency in at the moment because we are not already in the green phase, or the private in, because we're not already in the green phase. This company will probably make a lot of money, so there is no threat that it might get dumped, I guess. So therefore, I think we can actually risk it and simply buy a second share. So that means we get back $60. Gotta make sure though that we can get rid of the shares, but yeah, I'm pretty optimistic this will work out, because I don't want to sit on these shares for long. So if they're 50% in the market, I want to be able to sell these shares, and gotta take care of that because I want to start my own company eventually. Okay, now this guy bought actually a third share of the company. This guy is sitting on 4 shares. He bought a third. He's not going to buy a third share, because if he sells his 3 shares, he's not going to be able to sell all his stuff. He's going to sit on 1 share then. So therefore, I think he might hold back. The problem is, if he does, the others make more money. It's dangerous. Also, if this guy sells his shares, he's going to lose share value. Oh man, this is already getting tricky. Actually, this guy passed. He's sitting on his 2 shares. That's enough. I don't know if that was a clever move. Cannot say that. It's hard to decide, but he doesn't want to get stuck with shares of that company. He has 50%, 30%, 20%. That means the company is sold out. If at the end of a stock round, a company is sold out, the share value actually rises. So that means everybody already made some money. Okay, so we're going to start the first operating round. And at the start of the operating round, the private companies pay out. So therefore, this guy gets 30 bucks, he gets 25, and he gets 15. Actually, I kind of messed up. I thought this company is super strong because I forgot I don't have the company that allows me to lay the port token. I don't have that because that's what makes it really strong. I can still lay a standard token here and that way make a bit of money, but it's not nearly as good as the port token. I kind of forgot that. But okay. It's not that good, but it's still okay. So we're going to lay a track, and I'm thinking I'm going to lay simply this one then. There you go. The starting token is placed at the very beginning of the turn, so we place that simply here. And that's it. We cannot lay another token because there's no free space. So now we're going to have to buy trains, and well, that is now the question. I think I'm actually going to buy 3 of these trains, because if I place a token here next turn, I can run one train down here, the other one here, and the last one here. Of course, if that would be 30, that would be awesome. But still, I think I'm going to do it. So, yeah. I'm going to buy for 240 bucks 3 trains, because I think they will actually run for quite a while. I mean, relatively. Sometimes the 2 trains are gone very fast, but in this specific situation, they might hold on for a bit. So 240. So the company could not run trains, so therefore the value drops 1 to the left. And that's it. That's the end of the first operating round. And we go into the next stock round. Now, if I calculate it right, nobody has the money to do anything, so therefore we just pass again. I mean, technically, these guys here could come to an agreement and say, you know, let's start another company. Do they have the money to do that? Probably not. I mean, they could sell their stuff, but compared to him, who has no money left, they have a bit of dead money sitting here. But in the end, everybody wants to be a president of their own company because they want to buy in these privates. So nobody really wants to help the other guy. Okay, and that means we go into the next operating round. By the way, you can track this over here if you want to. And it's again the Tosa electric rail, and now they're going to lay another piece of track down here. This time they're going to lay their second token for 40 bucks over here. And although the opening is not as strong as it would have been if they had the port, I think they can now still make some money. So they run for 40. So they run for 100 bucks. Okay, it's not great. 40 and another 30 and 30 down here. That's 100 bucks. So everybody receives 10 bucks for the shares. I also paid out the private companies. I nearly forgot about that. So that means they paid out, so the share value will go up again. Oh, and they were sold out actually. So the share value is now here because they were out at the end of the last stock round. They were sold out, so it goes up. Would have been gone from here to here, and then they paid out, so they are actually now sitting here at 75. Okay, we go into the next stock round, and now this guy definitely has enough cash to start his own company, and he wants to do so. Does he? It's an interesting question. He makes more money. The question is, who makes the most money right now? This guy has not that many shares. He makes basically 30 from these shares and another 30 here. So that gives him 60. This guy gets 50 from the shares and another 15. So he makes $5 more. So that means he's got to do something. He makes only 20, 35, 45. So yeah, definitely. So he's got to make, but he also wants to do something. So he's going to sell the shares now, I guess. And I wonder if he might consider keeping one. Let's check that out. I think I actually only sell 2 of my shares because they make money. It's income. And I can start my company at, I got here $200. And if I sell 2 shares, that's another 150. So I got 350, which would be enough to start at 70. And I mean, I could sell the last share. And then I got something like 425, and I could start at 80. I mean, but do I want that? I mean, I got a lot of I got 2 really expensive companies. So maybe that's actually not such a bad idea. Let's think about that. So again, I have these kind of random personalities, and this guy is a pretty aggressive player. So on a 1, I'm going to start it high, but otherwise I'm going to start it for 70. I think that's probably more reasonable. Okay, so we got a 6. So we're going to start that thing for 70. I'm only going to sell 2 of my shares, which means the value drops to 65. I get $150 for that. The shares go into the market. And now I can start the company for 70, if I'm not mistaken. That's 350. Yeah, so that means I can start for 70. I got the AMA Railroad, the South EO Railway. So the question is, where do I want to start? Basically 2 reasonable choices for me if I want to use the advantage that I can upgrade this for free. I could either start the EO, or I could start here the Uwajima. I mean, the Uwajima has this nice 40 space. That's kind of cool. Starting here in Marugame is also not a bad choice. Takamatsu is 30. Kotohira is also 40. The problem with Kotohira is you gotta pay $80 to upgrade this. And then you gotta pay another $80 to upgrade again. In the end, Kotohira will be the one which makes the most money, but it's expensive. So I'm not quite sure what I want to do. On a 1 to 3, I'm going to start in Uwajima. Otherwise, I take one of the other 2. Okay, so I'm going to take the Uwajima. That works well with the AMA. And yeah, I'm going to start at 70, which means I got to spend 140 to get the presidency. And there we go. Okay. So now the question is, what does this guy do? Okay, so this guy is sitting on 255. If he sells these, he gets 130. So that would bring it to 385. And 385 is enough to start actually at 75, if I'm not mistaken. But I think he doesn't want to start there. I think he prefers also to start at 70. The reason is, then he operates after the Uwajima, and that can be of an advantage, because that means the Uwajima will buy probably one or two of these 2 trains, and then he can buy the first 3 train in the next turn, and he can already start buying in his privates, while this player can only buy in the privates after the next stock round. So that gives this guy, but also this guy, basically 2 ORs to already profit from the money that they would gain from the privates. And I think this is a good idea. So therefore, I'm also going to start the company. I'm going to sell both of my shares, I guess. That gives me 130. And the company value drops 2 more spaces. And I get, 130. And I'm also going to start at 70. So that means I basically have to buy for 140. I will start, now let's see what we got. The Mitsubishi Ferry, Mine Railroad. I mean, I got the Takamatsu, so, maybe I want to start here. So this guy, he's got the Takamatsu and the Mitsubishi Ferry. Now if he starts in Takamatsu, there's no ports there. If he starts in Tokushima, for example, he could then maybe use the ferry tile, and maybe that's not such a bad idea for him. And in a way, he kind of blocks the Takamatsu for later use. So maybe he should start the Tokushima, and then he might consider starting the Takamatsu later. I mean, of course, someone else could start there, but then he cannot upgrade. So that makes it definitely less attractive for other players. So I think on a 1 to 4, I'm actually going to start in Tokushima. Nope, I'm going to actually start the Takamatsu. And yeah, don't know if that was a clever move, but sometimes I randomize things here to get a little bit of chaos into the game. So for 140, I'm going to buy the presidency of the Takamatsu. This guy is sitting at 50 bucks. He was very unlucky. If he had 5 more, he could have bought one of these market shares here. But yeah, can't do it. So now the others basically will simply, if this guy would have sold his 3rd share, then he could have afforded that. So now the others will simply buy up to 50%, and then it's probably going to be the end of the stock round. Okay, so the Takamatsu is floated, Uwajima, and priority deal is down here with the owner of the Tosa. And we go, nothing is sold out anymore. So that means there's no value change, anything. And we go into the next operating round. So again, the privates pay out. And 15. And now the Uwajima will operate first because it's the most valuable company. So we simply place a marker here, that's our starting token. Then we lay track and we want to go here. There's a pretty good town for 20, that's not bad. This pre-printed town, Yavatahama. And now we can buy trains. Tja. And that's the question now. How many trains do we want? If we lay a token here next turn, we can definitely run 2 trains. We can go here, we can go here. We could upgrade this to 30. So, you know, I think that's what we should do. However, if we only buy a single train, if then this guy wants to sell his private in, he has to buy 2 true trains and a 3 train to be able to do so. And that's quite an expense because he cannot run these trains. So it's a bit interesting. Do I hurt myself and run for less than possible? Or do I try to hurt this company and force it basically to buy another train? Or maybe they don't buy the trains. Maybe they don't go into green. But then, in the end, this guy will be the big one, the one making profit, because he can run his 2-3 trains. The longer these 2 trains stay on the board, the better for this guy. So, you know, I think in the end, I'm actually going to buy 2 trains. Probably makes the most sense. And yeah, that's it then. For $160. It's not a great position to be in, right? This is basically, no matter what you do, you bring yourself in a kind of a defensive or in a worse position, right? So it's kind of sucks here. So now the owner of the Takamatsu has to decide. Well, first we got to lay the starting token, and we got to decide how to lay track. So basically I want to run a 2 and a 3 train. I think I'm going to go out here, Sakaide and Okayama, and then maybe down here and eventually to Kotohira. It's a bit of a disadvantage because you always have this dot then on the route to Kotohira. That's not so great. Still, I kind of feel this is what I'm going to do. It will allow me to run at least 2 trains next turn, and yeah, so I'm going to do that. So let's lay track first like this. Okay, and then we're going to buy the 2 trains as planned. That costs me $260. And now we go into green. Oh, by the way, the Uwajima loses value. These guys also lose value. And you can see, if you start a new company, that is, at that point, not good. During this cycle of operating round, it's not good because in the first operating round, you make no money, and the player who already controls a company, he will make money. So there's always this, a little bit of a step back once you start the company. Yeah. But okay, they want to sell in their privates, and that will give them a big boost. And that is something he can do now. So there is no real step back for him. Okay, so that was, that was the train purchase. That means now we are in the next phase. We are in phase 3. So that allows us now to use the green tiles. It allows us to purchase trains from other companies, and it allows us to buy the privates in. And we can do that from half the share value, from half the face value to a maximum of double the face value. So I say we really try to squeeze as much money out of this company as possible. So for this guy is now the question, what makes the most sense? Usually you say you want to buy in your privates as soon as possible, to get as much money as possible. On the other hand, this thing pays you 15 bucks. That's not so bad. You know, if you get 100 bucks for this thing. So if you buy, I don't know, can you really buy, the question is basically, can you buy 2 shares for this or just 1 share? So if we sell everything, we get 200 bucks. We're sitting on 250, on 260. That would allow us to buy, well, that's the thing. The question is, do we want to start a new company by selling down or not? And this is a critical question that we got to ask here, because, you know, at first glance, that's basically what you do. You sell down and start a new company to get control over more money. But is it really the best thing to do? Because we already said that when you start a new company, you basically fall back, and this already established company, you might only get 20 or 30% of that. And then you start a second company for probably not too high of a value. I doubt that we can get, I don't know how much money we can get. It's hard to tell. Maybe that's, you know, we would even lose money from these shares if we sell them down. It's kind of like 200 bucks. We would sit on 450. I mean, yeah, we could start it at 90 probably. That's not bad. We would control a lot of cash. The alternative would be simply to invest in other players' shares, because then we simply have more shares. Of course, there's a risk. You can always get a company dumped on you, but you have more shares, you have more money, and it's a very tough decision. Is it really what you want to do with your money, that you basically, speed up the game? I don't know. Very hard to decide. I think I might actually be able to buy that 1 additional share if I sell it for the full value. So that's 200 bucks. And I'm going to take them out of my company. Of course, that's a bad hit, but this is now my money. Let's place it here. So I can now build in mountain hexes that do not contain rivers for free. Well, that doesn't help me at all. Might have been a good idea to to use that somewhere else. So maybe I should have started another company, but okay. Yeah, maybe I should have started this one. Then I could have built down here for free. I can upgrade Takamatsu now, which is nice. And I can place the ferry token, the port token. Cool. So that's that. And now it's this guy. And, well, what is he going to do? I want to upgrade this piece of track here. So I think I'm going to simply lay this one. And because I'm going to hit that twice with my train, so I make 20 more bucks, which is cool. And yeah, then I'm going to run. So that's 40, 80, and 130, if I'm not mistaken here. 40, 80, and another, no, wait a minute, that's even, yeah, no, it's 50, so it's 130, pretty good. And of course we're going to pay that out, and that also brings a lot of cash into the company. So again, an interesting choice. We could now buy in the Dogo for 120 bucks. That's kind of cool. Of course we could wait and hope that someone of the other guys starts the EO for a high value. If someone starts it for 90 or 100 bucks, we can simply exchange that for a share, and then we would get a lot of value without fucking up our company. But I don't know. You know, how likely is that? I assume maybe, I mean, it could happen. If this guy starts a new company, it's not unlikely that he might actually want to start the EO, because they can maybe work together. So it could be an option. This guy, yeah, he might more likely maybe start the AWA if he wants to start one at all. So, and he's not going to start a company because he didn't manage to sell his privates. So therefore, so this is this owner here, he's not going to start a company, I guess. You know, I think it makes more sense to buy it in. I probably would have done it either way because it's quite a gamble, right? So for 125, the Dogo goes in here now. And of course now we can no longer exchange this. And we're sitting now on, well, about 250 bucks also. Not bad at all. And we paid out, so that means the share value goes up. The others are flipped. Yeah. And that's the end of this operating round. And we go into the next stock round. And, you know, I think I'm going to stop this here. I'm going to load this up. And, yeah. Hope to see you on the next video. Bye.